Another major issue that we run into when it comes to misclassification is naming an employee an exempt employee when in fact they should be deemed non-exempt. Remember that most states and the federal government presume that every single worker who performs labor for your business in the United States is presumed to be a non-exempt worker. It's only if you're able to pick them up out of that specific box and fit them squarely into one of the categories designated by the government as an exempt employee that you can call them exempt and then pay them a salary and not have to worry about tracking their time, their meal periods, paying them overtime if they work more than 40 hours in a week. These are the circumstances that many employers get wrong, because what they do is they just presume that all employees who work for their business should be exempt. That does not work for a very large majority of the workers that work for your business. And unfortunately, if you don't have clean job descriptions for each type of role within your business to explain why your managers are different than your line workers, or why your administrative professionals have different responsibilities and duties to meet the administrative standard under the federal law, or if there are professionals that work within your business, licensed doctors, lawyers, engineers, accountants. These are the types of individuals that would generally be deemed exempt under federal and state laws. If they do not meet that standard, they revert back to the standard provision as a non-exempt employee. Very few businesses actually maintain what I call clean job descriptions. What I mean by that is specifically laying out the job duties, responsibilities, and obligations of each role within a particular department or a team. You want to be able to say what the difference is between your leadership, your line level workers, and perhaps even entry level workers. In those job descriptions, you should explain why there is a difference between those roles. And ideally, I love to see job descriptions that include data that include how much bending, stooping, lifting, sitting, standing, visual acuity, manual dexterity are required in each one of these roles. Why is that important? Because in the event that an employee sustains a job-related work injury, you will know what can be and cannot be done within that job description when you're determining whether someone is qualified for modified or light-duty work. One of the biggest areas that we see misclassified employees is this concept of a project manager, someone who's overseeing an entire project, but they're not necessarily managing the work of two or more individual employees working underneath them. Project managers have been one of the biggest areas of crackdown by many of the states in the United States over the last 5 years, because if they're not qualified to meet the executive exemption under the Fair Labor Standards Act, they usually will be reverted back to a non-exempt status. I had a class action lawsuit about 4 years ago involving a group of project managers. It was 50 employees working for a very large company who claimed that they were non-exempt employees. During the course of the litigation, we looked through the job descriptions, we took a look at what the employees did on a day-to-day basis, and we determined that their litigation had merit to it because they did not meet the 4 corners of the test required to name them as exempt employees. The total liability in that case would have been over $1 million, but thankfully we were able to get involved very early, move the case into a mediation, and we settled the matter for low 6 figures, which was a great result for our client who didn't understand that they had gone through the process incorrectly in classifying those workers as exempt. So if you're a business in California and you have further questions or don't quite understand what the law actually is in the particular area we're talking about today, then I would encourage you to contact Koegle Law Group at 661-362-0813.